Then we turned north and took the road to Bashan. God said to me, "Don't be afraid of him. I'm turning him over to you along with his whole army and his land. Treat them the way you treated the king." So God our God also handed over them to us, and we utterly crushed them. Again, no survivors. All the same time we took all of his cities. We totally destroyed them, a holy destruction. Throughout that time we took the land under the control of the two kings. We took all the towns. We took everything. His bed, made of iron, was over 13 feet long and 6 feet wide. Of the land that we possessed at the time, I gave half of the tribe of Manasseh. I gave the Reubenites and Gadites. I commanded you at the time, God, your God, has given you this land to possess, your men fit and armed for the fight. I commanded Joshua at the time, you've seen with your own eyes, 2 eyes, everything God, your God, has done with these kings. God is going to do the same thing in the kingdoms. At the same time, I begged God, God, my master, you let me in on the beginnings. You let me see your greatness. You let me see your might. What God in heaven or earth can do anything like what you've done? Please let me in also on the endings. Let me cross the river and see the good land over the Jordan. But God was still angry with me because of you. He wouldn't listen. He said, enough of that. Not another word from you on this. Climb to the mount of Pisgah and look around. Look west, north. Take a look, because you're not going to cross this Jordan. Then command Joshua, give him courage, give him strength. Single-handedly he will lead his people across the river. Single-handed he will cause them to inherit the land at which you can only look. That's why we've stayed in this valley. Now listen, Israel, listen carefully to the rules and regulations that I am teaching you. Don't add a word to what I command you, and don't remove a word from it. Keep the commands of your God that I am commanding you. You saw with your own eyes what God did at Baal, how God destroyed them from among you and who joined them. But you, the ones who held tight to your God, are alive, and with every one of you today. Pay attention. I'm teaching you the rules and regulations that God commanded you. Yes, what other great nation has gods that are intimate with them the way God, our God, is with us? Already listened to us. Just make sure you stay alert. Keep close watch over yourselves. The day when you stood before God, your God, assemble the people in my presence to listen and teach these words to your children. You gathered, you stood in the shadow on the mountain. The mountain was ablaze with fire, blazing high in every heart of heaven. You stood in deep darkness and thick clouds. God spoke to you before the fire. And God commanded me at that time to teach you the rules and regulations. You saw no form on the day God spoke to you. God took you right out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to become the people of his inheritance. But God was angry with me because of you and the things you said. He swore that I'd never cross the Jordan, never get to enter the good land that God, your God, is giving you as the inheritance. This means that I'm going to die here. I'm not crossing the Jordan, but you will cross and possess the land. So stay alert. Don't for a minute forget the covenant with God, your God, made with you. And don't take up any carved images, no forms of any kind. God, your God, issued clear commands on that. God, your God, is not to be trifled with. He's consuming fire, a jealous God. When the time comes that you have children and grandchildren, put on years and start taking things for granted. If you then become corrupt and make any carved images, no matter their form, this will provoke God's anger. I can tell you right now, with heaven and earth as witness, that it will be over for you. You'll be kicked off the land, and you'll be about to cross the Jordan. Believe me, you'll have a very short stay here. You'll be ruined. But even there, if you seek God, your God, you'll be able to find him if you're serious, looking for him with your whole heart. When troubles come and these awful things happen to you in future days, you will come back to your God and listen obediently to what he says. God, your God, is all above all a compassionate God. In the end, he will not abandon you. He won't bring you to ruin. He won't forget the covenant he made with his ancestors. Ask questions. Find out what has been going on all these years before you were born. Or has a God ever tried to select himself from a nation? You were shown all this so that you would know who God was. He's the only God there is. He's it. And now it's happening this very day. Know this well then. Take it to your heart right now. God is in heaven above. God is on earth below. He's the only God there is. Obediently live by his rules and commands, which I'm giving you today. Then Moses set aside 3 towns in the country. This is the revelation that Moses presented to the people of Israel. that their testimonies, the rules and regulations Moses spoke to the people of Israel after their exodus from Egypt and arrival on their east side of the Jordan and their valley. It was the country. The two Amorite kings held the country beneath the slopes of Mount Pisgah.